kind of hard to make that argument, right? But when you're you're discriminating against religious people, you're violating that free exercise clause. That's my view, but the court disagreed with me. In April of 2020, even in times of health, government officials must often strike the delicate balance between ensuring public safety and preserving the Constitution's fundamental guarantees, U.S. District Judge John A. Mendez wrote. But during public health crises, new considerations come to bear, and the government officials must ask whether even fundamental rights must give way to a deeper need to control the spread of infectious disease, or safety, right? It was for safety during World War II that President Roosevelt signed executive order incarcerating 120,000 Japanese Americans. Well, about 80 or 90,000 of them were citizens. But just took everything they owned and put them off into relocation centers. So this one is in Arizona, Manzanero War Relocation Center. And many of the people they took to the courts had many Supreme Court cases, and they lost every single one of them. So it was for their protection. It was for safety reasons that these people were put up. And very well could have been. I can see fanaticism attacking those communities. We've seen those things in society before. In November of last year, we saw splitting 5-4, the Supreme Court backs religious challenge to New York virus shutdown order. Now, there was a change in the court over that time. Many remember last fall, Amy Barrett became a judge, and she changed the outcome of the court because the other judges voted the exact same way. Because there were many aspects of the society that were opening up. They still had a restriction on religious liberty, on religious freedom, and the courts disagreed, and they shut down New York's order. This was from either Gorsuch. I can't remember if it's Gorsuch or Barrett wrote this. I didn't put in who it wrote by, but one of them wrote this statement. The loss of First Amendment freedoms, even for the minimal periods of time, unquestionably constitutes irreparable injury. It states that a Catholic inability to receive communion because of COVID-19 restrictions was such an injury as was Orthodox Jews' inability to engage in important religious traditions because they require personal attendance. The court's brief inclusion of these statements shows that a majority is inclined to seriously consider arguments that religious free exercise is more than just a right to private conscience. That's an important distinction. More than just, oh, you can worship in your own home or whatever. No, I can publicly worship and gather with God, God's people. Again, it's on the same idea that what the Nevada court, the Nevada decision, was the same principle. You're letting other aspects of society be open, but closing down this religious. So it was discrimination. And the court agreed. So Ruth Ginsburg, though she did lots of, I think, good things, especially for women in her time, anything to do with religious, she stomped on. That's just the truth. That's what her voting record showed. Supreme Court has a majority that will protect religious freedom. This is right now the current court from their recent decisions. I wrote prohibition clause because we're not so sure about the establishment clause yet, which is a deep concern. The dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus. We're in a spiritual war, aren't we? There is a battle going on. The enemy of souls is coming at us in every way possible. Whether it's financial, spiritual, our health, in society's restriction on liberty, the enemy of souls is at work. Spiritual wickedness in high places, the scriptures say. John had a powerful statement. He says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers." Even those things that we talked about this morning, God wants us to prosper financially. He wants us to have health, and He wants our souls to prosper through religious liberty. Our closing hymn this morning is 506. Martin Luther's penned "A Mighty Fortress."